Dennis, I'm going to come to you now. And Lehman Foundation is one of those rare organizations that has always been at the forefront of investing in people, people first, and in just the leadership of people within Brazil to feel transformation. It would be interesting to just hear what led to you focusing on that, and what have you come to think about the balance between, what we need, between investing in developing people and collective leadership and investing in more technical solutions, and how have you been able to achieve this?
Such an important topic that is under-discussed in this. There are so many things that are over-discussed this week. You feel there are hundreds of events. This is clearly something that has been under-discussed. So at the Lehman Foundation, we realized that what we want to support is for Brazil to be a more developed and fair country. And we're always trying to look like what's the biggest asset, what's the biggest resource, what's the biggest advantage that Brazil can have? Can we look at Brazil from an abundance perspective instead of a scarcity, instead of our kind of challenges and everything that didn't work in the past? And we think the most important resource we have by far is our people. Like every year, 3 million Brazilians are turning 18, and they could go to universities, to vocational training, to become entrepreneurs, civic leaders. And we are not just supporting that, people to fulfill its potential, and therefore the country to achieve its potential. A country's potential is the collective potential of its people. There is no work around that. If it's not like that, it's not sustainable. It's not what's going to be really make a difference and make it also fair, right? And I think the other way we look at people and how we could be more focused on investing in it is like, where are we sending our best people? Where are we mobilizing our talent? Where we're finding our talent? Does our talent match the composition of our population, both in race and regional and gender? Like, are we looking for talent everywhere? And is this talent being allocated to tackling our biggest social problems, right? And this is our main commitment in our leadership work. Finding our talent, helping to develop our talent, and then helping them dedicate their lives to tackling our biggest social problems. A lot of people, when they look at the issues of the SDGs or other issues we all around the room work with, they say, your work is so beautiful. Your work is so meaningful. Your work is so... But what they don't realize is our work is really hard. It's super complex. It is rocket science to improve public education at large scale, or to tackle a global pandemic, or to face climate change, or all of these things. Like, these are super hard things to do. And if you want to change something that is very hard, it's not enough to send money to this problem. You have to send your best brains to this problem. And you have to recognize that the best brains is a collection of different perspectives and points of view, right? People who are living with the problem, people who are sitting on the table making the decision, maybe having more people sitting at the table making a decision who actually lived with the problem in the past, and creating an environment where these people are debating and coming together and understanding each other and sustaining dialogue. So working with leadership for us is this, right? Is like, how can we make sure that we have the right people who represent our country, who represent the different visions, the different ethnicities, the different races, the different genders, all of it around the table, and having them dedicate their lives. And we say dedicate their lives because we are recognizing the complexity of these problems, and they will take commitment and time. And if you have the right people around the table, if you have great leaders in the country committed to the country's development and willing to listen to one another, this will going to provide a transformation that is enormous. And we are fortunate enough to be able to see this now. We have been investing in leadership, and we also invest in improving our public education system. And we are fortunate enough to have some good results in education, changing national learning standards in the country, now supporting the eradication of illiteracy in schools around Brazil. And when we look at everything that worked in what we have been funding and supporting over the years, we always find these groups of people. Like, who are the key people sitting there in the ministry, at the state level, in the secretaries, in the classroom level, in the academia, in the media covering the stories, in civil society groups pushing for these agendas. So now we support about 2,000 leaders are trained every year in organizations that we support in Brazil. And we also have networks of like people who are making the most difference. And one is the Lemon Foundation's Leader Network, which have about 800 people now. And we're seeing them moving to different positions, making difference, and being able to push the country to the next level. This is an opportunity for all of us. It will be impossible to have sustained change in any area that you care about: health, education, environment, global security, it doesn't matter, if you don't have the right people around the table. And it will be a waste of resources, a waste of time, and disrespectful to the people you're trying to serve. So incorporating this mindset in your strategy, in your vision, can really be the difference between seeing progress after 5 years or rethinking our strategy after 5 years, which is a lot of what we hear from time to time. So I hope that this becomes more of a, that we have too many events about people in some years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Something that you really shared that stuck with me, which also resonates, I'm sure, with the Teach for All network, is if you want to change, and solve some of your hardest problems, you have to send some of your best minds and best brains. And how can you make sure that they commit the rest of their life to solving and addressing those issues?